Welcome back to Shem's Universe. So today, guys, I want to go over friendly numbers. We discussed enemy numbers last week, and of course it's not fair to just go over that and then not go over what the friendly numbers are. So the thing is that when you're in an intimate relation, business relation, just friendship, you'll notice that certain numbers get along better than others, and then certain numbers that aren't supposed to get along will still get along. So I'm going to go through each of the numbers and explain to you how this works. As a generalization based off mathematics, the basics of it is that the odd numbers get along and the even numbers get along pretty well, with a couple of exceptions. So here's how it will go. You have number one will get along with people that have predominantly number 3 energy, 5 energy, 7 energy, or 9 energy. The exception in there, I would say, is 1 with 7. 7 is represented as Kietu, which is the solar eclipse. And then you have the sun with number 1, which definitely won't get along too well, because the 7 will say the 1 is too, they'll say the 1 is too egotistical and too materially driven, and the 1 will think the 7 is not action or physically based enough. So they're at the opposite sides of the spectrum, especially when looking at the chakra system. The 7 will represent the crown chakra, whereas the 1 will represent the root chakra, if that makes sense. All right, so aside from that, the 1 and the 3 get along very well. The 1 and the 5 get along extremely well. They're both very fearless. And the 1 and the 9 get along very well because they both have very strong convictions. So usually they can get along and start and finish things. So aside from, like I said, the 1 and the 7, in original numerology, they'll try to say that the 1 and the 7 will get along because it's both odd numbers. They can, to a certain extent, if they have a common goal. But aside from that, 7, if you're a 1 person, or if you're a 7 person, understand that if you're a 1 person, the 7 will be energy. If you're a 7 person, the 1 person might be your enemy if you guys aren't on the same team, like doing something that's going to benefit both of you. All right. Next set of friendly numbers is 2, 4, 6, and 8. So of course you guys understand the even numbers now. I'm going to go through each of the numbers, so don't worry, guys. So there's number 2. Number 2 will get along with number 4, not really, number 6, and number 8. So the number 2 definitely gets along with the number 6, because the 2 and 6 are both very diplomatic numbers, very harmonious. They're both are all into just cooperation and getting along. So they get along very, very well. Moon and Venus, fine. When it comes to 2 and 8, they get along very well because the 8 will teach the 2 how to be more assertive, be a little bit more aggressive in their life, and be a little bit more realistic or business oriented. So the 8 and the 2 are actually like best friends. They get along very, very well. And then when it comes to the 2 and the 4 is Rahu, which is Maya illusion. The 4 usually eclipses the moon, which is all about like emotion and sympathy and empathy, all these things. So the 2 and the 4 don't get along necessarily when we look at Chaldean numerology because of their governing planets, the moon with Rahu. Rahu usually eats the moon, so the 4 is usually all about being pragmatic, whereas the 2 is usually just about just cooperation between people, right? They're very, very honest people, very much about partnership, cooperation, and just creating harmony. Like I said, very similar to the number 6. So because of that, you'll find that these 2 numbers, unless they're in a situation where I wouldn't even say intimate relation. I think even in an intimate relationship, they would actually have a hard time. The 4 would get the better of the person, no matter what gender they are. They'd just be a little bit more cunning, a little bit more pragmatic, to a point where the 2 would just see them as either superficial or just completely ruthless or psychopathic. They just can't resonate with that type of energy. Another important thing to note, though, guys, is that when you look at compatibility between you and somebody else, what you have to understand is that there's 2 different ways of measuring compatibility. The first one that I think is the most important is your birth numbers. If your birth numbers get along, then the life paths won't matter as much. But however, there's still opposition. So like, let's say you get somebody who's a life path 8 with a life path 1, but both their birth numbers are compatible. That's cool, but they might still have power struggle. So you have to know each numerology combination, like what each number stands for and why they would sort of clash in a different way. So if you can avoid certain topics when it comes to that, then you might still have better luck. So let's say like a 1 and 8 person end up getting together in some sort of capacity. If they have a way of just knowing in a business setting, okay, we're intimate relationship, but in a business setting, you're in charge, I do this, I handle the administrative. If you guys have very clear roles, it'll work out very, very well. So even whether you have a friendly or enemy number, if you guys just know how to utilize your numbers to the right capacity, you'll find that you actually have a lot more good luck in comparison to if you don't, right? So that's the whole thing. Moving on. The number three people get along with number one very well, for sure. I would say number three, very creative. Jupiter energy expansion is going to help the number one expand whatever their vision is. Works very well. 3 with 5 is just a party altogether, just complete social dynamic. 5 gets along with everybody anyways. Number 3 and 7, the 3 helps the 7 come out their shell a lot. So you'll find that they actually work very well because the 7 is not social, whereas the 3 can actually make them be noticed more for their intellectualism. The number 9 will more so help the 3 when it comes to being disciplinarian, but the 3 can help the 9 just have more fun and let loose, right? Next, number 4. Number 4 is friendly with, like again, number 2 to a certain extent. It does eclipse it, but number 4 can actually help the number 2 achieve real life goals by being more pragmatic. The number 4 with number 6 works very, very well. They can form a lot of different business conglomerates, syndicates. There's a lot of examples of like gangster mafias that are formed by these two when they get together. So it's a lot of, it's a very, very good alliance, I would say, nonetheless. Number 4 with number 8, obviously that's going to be very good. Number 4 is a workhorse. Number 8 is all about vision, riches, just status. So number 4 with 8 gets along very, very well. And the number 4 will help the number 8 when it comes to expanding their business or just being more organized with their vision. Number 8s usually have a hawk vision, but number 4 people are on the ground. They'll see all the little minuscule details that the number 8 person would most likely miss. Number 5 gets along with number 1 because they'll help the 1 become more and more fearless towards their vision. They'll help the number 3 person in any given area because the number 5 is an all-around versatile person. So whatever the 3 is lacking, number 5 will just make up for it. Very, very good combination. Number 5 also gets along with number 7 because they're fearless and adventurous and they're good communicators. So they can help bring 7, just like the number 3, out of their shell a lot more. And number 5 and number 9 are just simply a problem. That's just a warrior, a couple of people, whether they're friends, business partners, intimate relation. That's a very deadly combination to have, especially if you have it as a birth number life path combination. Very, very fearless person altogether. Moving on to number 6. Number 6 gets along with number 2 very well. They're, like I said, they're both very gentle, diplomatic, very good for intimate relations. Number 6 gets along with number 4 as well. As we've already discussed, they're very good for alliances, intimate relations as well, works very well. Number 4 will help the number 6 actually make a lot more money. The number 6 with itself, of course, very, very good. We should all know that. That's why I'm not going over numbers to themselves. They always get along pretty well. But the number 6, number 8, very, very good combination. Again, Venus and Saturn, that's like a very rich duality to have. So like people that have that, they're gonna have very nice home, nice cars. It's gonna be like the sort of the lime life American dream sort of relation, whether they're in a friendship or intimate relationship. It's gonna be very glamorous, like the way everything looks. It's just a very materially driven compatibility. Number 7 has the roughest time. 7 and 8 have the roughest time, I think. 7 with number 1 people, they're going to find the number 1 too materially driven, but they can help the number 1 find a certain sense of spirituality. 7 with number 3 works very well. They can help the 3 in places where they lack intellectually, and the 3, like I said, will help them come out that shell very naturally as well. When it comes to the number 5, 7 and 5 get along very well because the 5 is quite smart, very avid communicator. So they'll help the 7 and they'll actually just very much... they can have like endless conversations with the 7 and help expand the 7's mind, just as the 7 expands their mind. But the 5 might make them take more action and be more action driven instead of theoretical. The number 7 with number 9, I personally think they're enemies. These odd numbers don't necessarily get along. 7 and 9, 7's very spiritual, and then 9 is very, very ideological. So the 7 will believe in mysticism and have faith regardless of seeing something tangibly. The 9 needs to see it tangibly to actually believe in it. Because of that, they'll usually clash in ideas. Number 8, what's funny in Chaldean, for you, everybody that's an 8, you're going to probably laugh at this. We usually are considered to be the enemy of everybody. Saturn's usually the dark force in the universe. So they don't necessarily get along with anybody in Chaldean numerology. However, in more ancient texts than even the Chaldean, we find that number 8 can still get along with other even numbers. So number 2 is very good, especially if they work for them, or if the number 8's a male and the number 2 is a female. Very perfect relationship. Number 8 and number 4, same sort of dynamic, very good, especially if the number 4 works for the number 8, or at least is an advisor to the number 8. That's going to bring about a lot of wealth just because the way the number 4 thinks, the number 8's vision will just get expanded, and you'll see that the number 8 just gets a lot more riches with the number 4. A little danger with that though, number 8 and 4 are the most karmic single digit numbers. If both or one of you guys have bad karma, it's going to move on to the other person very, very quickly. So be very, very careful of that. If you have questions about it, hit me in the DM at Shem's Universe 8.0, just because, yeah, I have to look at those charts and see what's going on. Number 8 with number 6, the 8 will help the 6th person get more money, get everything that they want. So the 6 will always see the 8 as like, this is my way out type thing. Like, they'll be able to help me just make more money, become more famous. If I want to go to school, they'll help me with just being fearless and just tackling my life just firsthand. So number 8's very, very good for just inspiring people or helping them at least at very minimum self-actualize. All right. Number 9's the final one. 9's considered to be the most adaptive number. So I know in a lot of the new urban numerology, people would say the number 9 is actually able to probably get along with everybody. That's not really true. 9 and 1, they get along, but sometimes they clash because the 9 likes to lead from behind. They're more humble. They might find the number 1 sometimes a little bit overbearing. Nonetheless, if they're working on the same project, they get along very, very well. Number 9 with number 3, as I said earlier, 3 can help the 9 just be a little bit more like living in the moment, mindful, whereas the 9 could just be thinking about long-term goals for the most part. They don't usually like to think about short-term. So the 3 can actually help them just be more fun-loving of life in general. Number 9 with number 5, like I said, very fearless. That's a warrior relation. Nothing's changed with that. And then, of course, number 9, number 7, it's the ideology versus spirituality. They can get along, but they need to have some sort of cultural or environmental semblance. I mean, they have to have something that connects them outside of numerology. All right, so that does finalize this video, guys. If you have any questions about friendly numbers, hit me up in the comments and I'll be happy to help you out. Aside from that, like, subscribe. Holla at me. That's it for today, guys. Peace.